Hello and welcome to another Link to the Past Randomizer League team race between the Major Mistakes and Ups das Wahres auch nicht here on Speed Gaming 2. I am one of your commentators this evening, Worldwide Wimpy, and I am joined by Days Cloud. How are you doing this fine, lovely day?
I'm doing just great, and I'm actually quite impressed that you were able to pronounce that name, because I've been sitting here looking at that team name for the past, 20 minutes, just kind of going like, I do not speak German, and I'm not even going to try with that. Well done there.
I did take German in high school, so that's a pretty easy sentence to speak. So no past participles, nothing like that. As we have Dark Diplomat doing our tracking between Teto and DIVISIGNS here in our race this evening. Week 3 means we are enemized. We have a full randomization of enemies throughout the world map and dungeons with a full boss shuffle. That means the 3 bosses that would normally be in Ganon's Tower that were light world bosses are a duplicate of one of the bosses outside of it. So we're going to see at most 2 of any one boss. So we're not going to see 4 or 5 Trinexes, just to make this a little bit more easier to complete.
Yeah, we're going to be dealing with some Randomizer today, which is just going to shuffle all of our enemies as well. And like you mentioned, all of the bosses will be shuffled. So we're going to be sitting there and we could see some absolutely insane enemy placement today. This is always kind of a fun thing to watch, and it looks like we're going to get started right now.
As we find a book here in the sanctuary, it makes perfect sense, as it is scriptures that allow us to read some stone tablets.
Yeah, and it also gives us a chance to be able to get into Desert Palace immediately, which is not necessarily something that we want to see, as we've got our first Lionel trying to say hi to us, and oh boy, it's a multiple Lionel
As we
shot there.
See Teto trying to farm up some bombs before they hit Kakariko Village without having a guaranteed bush crab or stone crab along the way. It makes perfect sense to try and get yourself some explosions to knock down those walls.
Definitely. It looks like he's got the 3 bombs, and usually 3 is about the time that you stop farming bombs down there, because that'll get you through most of the bomb walls there in Kakariko.
As we see inside of the Lost Woods hideout, just a full heart container on the race ledge. We have 3 more explosions. Now, each of these teams is inside of the Skull Woods division of the Dark World Conference. Leading that division is Team Awesome with a full 12 out of 12 points. This is the first matchup between these 2 teams this week, so 3 very important points up for grabs, as this division is kind of squished together.
Yeah, I'm going to correct you on one thing. I happen to know that they are in the Misery Mire division, just because my team is also in the Misery Mire division. So,
oh, my apologies. You're correct. I have the wrong one scrolled up.
No worries there by any means. As we're going to get into the bottom of Blind's hut here over on DIVISIGNS, we get to start off with a heart piece and some 50 rupees, 10 arrows, and we're still looking for items here. That's 300, and he doesn't have a bomb, so took an early gamble, and unfortunately he's going to have to come all the way back here and bomb out that bombable wall, so we get a moon pearl there in the Cuckoo's hut.
So I am checking out the standings for this. They do have them listed in Skullwoods division. The Misery Mire is where my team is with the Land of the Blind. So...
Alright, maybe I'm really confused right now, but I don't actually know. Maybe I am in Skullwoods division?
Which team are you on?
I'm on Reheated Leftovers.
Yeah, it has you listed in Skullwoods, so...
Okay, I'm going to say that I'm wrong and you're right.
It's extremely possible. I don't know. I would never question someone knowing as to where they're at.
Yeah, okay. I mean, whatever. It's gonna exactly work here. No, I outside of those 1 Lionels that we saw here, I mean, this chicken hut is kind of empty right now. We've got 1 shadow enemy in there, and then just 1 Cuckoo just sitting around doing pretty much nothing. So far kind of gentle for them, but we're gonna find something crazy, something stupid eventually here.
Of course, this being Randomized, as I said earlier, our bosses are going to be in a full shuffle. 2 of each boss, or in this circumstance, there's going to be 3 opportunities to see a pair of bosses of the same bosses somewhere within the world. Because of the Light World bosses in Ganon's Tower. No more than 2, though. As we find a bottle inside of Kakariko Well, going to stop off at the sick kid to see what he has for us today.
Yeah, and this is an empty Kakariko so far. We've gotten a bottle. That's it. A bottle in the Moon Pearl, and we're not getting any help from the sick kid either. He's just giving us a piece of heart. So all of our progression, all of our items is somewhere else today, because this is just flat garbage.
Well, that makes the South Shore perhaps an escape sequence with a few bombs in hand, the possibility for us to find our progression today as Teto heads up into the Lost Woods. We know there's not much of anything besides a 20 rupee and a heart container. Will be interesting to see if Teto or DIVISIGNS gives us a ped check before they leave Kakariko Village. DIVISIGNS already having the book in hand. Teto not too far off from picking his up in the Sanctuary.
Yeah, I think with the current route here, Teto's not going to give us the ped check, and I know DIVISIGNS since he's moving south, he's probably not going to do the ped check either. I think if we're going to get a ped check from these guys, it'll be likely with something in Skull Woods or something. They'll want to try to mirror back from that at that point. Kind of waiting here. We need some sort of items. Both runners have had to buy bombs because there is just nothing available to them, and we're getting 5 and 6 crystals over on Eastern Palace and Desert Palace, and it looks like Teto is deciding, I'm going to go directly to the Eastern Palace area right now and deal with the spike balls and all sorts of other fun things.
As DIVISIGNS goes ahead and blind pulls the race game, if I'm heading from the north and checking this, with only having 3 items picked up, I would do the same thing. Just simply the numbers say progress could be there, more and more likely.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a doing a confirmation bias thing right there, where you're just kind of going, okay, I got absolutely 0 things in Kakariko. There's got to be something on the race game, right? And Sasharella's closet there just pulls out a cape. So
we found Sasrala and his Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah, and cape is one of those early items that you start going, oh god, am I gonna go do Aga Tower? Aga Tower I've seen some absolutely brutal Aga Tower climbs in Randomizer. I'm kind of wondering if we're going to be seeing one of those today.
You're really, really concerned, especially if you find that lamp somewhere in Logic as well. You really don't want to make that climb in Randomizer. It could be very forgiving, or it could be a total nightmare, as you were saying.
Because all of those, that dark maze in particular, was going to be all of those enemies that are just sitting there, and those bats and stuff, and you most of the time are nothing for you to worry about. But in Randomizer, those things become absolutely brutal, and this is not a fun room to do with bombs. As
we find a mushroom in the first chest of Eastern Palace here for Teto. We're going to get to see what's inside what is normally the mini Moldorm cave. 20 rupees, some blue mail, some bombs, a sword, and 300 more dollary dues.
Oh boy, so we've got a sword and we've got a cape. Like it's suggesting anything right now. But yeah, unless we start finding something a lot more interesting really quickly, we're going to be looking at doing Aga Tower.
Yeah, the last thing either of these players wants to see at the moment is a lamp. Really, logically, you could, if you knew the dark rooms of Aga well, you could use a fire rod as well to light a few torches in a couple of different rooms. So fire right now is very bad. Fire hot.
Yeah, and what's more with that is that would be running into one of the great. Oh, hi, lamp.
There's that lamp.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Now I'm a little surprised Teto decided to save and quit there, because with this being Randomizer, the red Igor that is kind of blocking Eastern Palace there, he is no longer there. You can go all the way directly back to the boss, and if you were to find something like, say, Moldorm or maybe Mothula back there, you can complete that without any problem. So I'm a little surprised of the immediate save and quit. Now, if you find Trinex or say Argus back there, yeah, you're not finishing that. But yet, I'm a little surprised that he didn't gamble that he doesn't have a sword. Yes, that would be the reason
hammer,
why I've got
no,
the wrong
no fire rod. Yeah, that would be difficult for you to try and complete. So, understandable. This is Randomizer. We're going to be a little confused with stuff. Okay, who can we kill? What can we do? So, completely understandable.
Right, I see one side pick up the sword, and I immediately assume that everybody has the sword, as Teto decides, you know what, I'm going to save my mushroom just in case I want to do some fake powder shenanigans later. That's actually a very good idea, especially in Randomizer, where you could find yourself in a rough situation at some point, and then deciding that, you know what, I want to not need to fake powder and anti-fairy and save myself at some point here, as DIVISIGNS is going to give us our first look over at Desert Palace, where we find the flippers sitting there on the ledge.
Yeah, and unfortunately for DIVISIGNS, he's not going to be able to light the torches in the back or lift up the rock unless he finds a pair of gloves here inside of Desert in the front, or finds a fire rod, since we know the lamp is in the big chest of Eastern Palace.
Right. And we're going to end up looking, oh boy, we've got Hinox all around Desert Palace, it looks like right now. We got birds, we got Hinox, we've got all sorts of fun enemies sitting around in here.
As we see Teto heading in the opposite direction for that sword, that first weapon he's really looking for and hoping for, heading over into Desert Palace as well.
Yeah, and now we're going to have to be dealing with this one kill room in Desert Palace.
This one's not too bad, though. Really, the worst enemy may have been that Technicolor Patrick, as we find a mirror inside of this kill room.
This is one thing that's actually going to be quite... This is a pretty big advantage over for DIVISIGNS, is that he actually got the book. Teto doesn't have a book yet, so he's just going to be immediately saving and quitting. And he's not going to get that mirror, and he's not going to get those flippers yet either. So yeah, he's going to be a bit behind, unfortunately, and out of just some poor early luck, unfortunately.
As we see Teto heading back over toward Lake Hylia, going to be more than likely using a flippers walk or a water walk.
That is something that you just absolutely don't want to do in Randomizer, because there's a very high chance that you're just going to get immediately killed if you do any sort of fake flippers in Randomizer, because if you get touched by any enemy, it's an immediate game over, and there are much more difficult enemies than just your regular old Zora shooters out there. It's you're finding the bad stuff out there. You might get Linold or thieves or any sort of things out there. You got to be careful.
As we see Teto just buying some bombs from the Lake Hylia shop vendor. Looks like going through the escape sequence makes perfect sense. Unfortunately, without a mirror, it's going to be a little bit slower for Teto. Should this be an Agaseed? we just find 10 arrows on the best vacationing spot in all of Hyrule, the Lake Island.
Yeah. And see, that bird right there would have made fake flippers like a very, very quick trip, because you would have immediately just died. As we're going to get a hobo check over on DIVISIGNS' side. He gets to show us a couple of new things as Teto is heading into the escape sequence here. He's going to have to do a bomb escape, which is not going to be a whole lot of fun, but hopefully, you know, he's a good enough runner that should be able to knock that out without too much problem.
Yeah, with this being Randomized, you're not getting your standard guard roaming the dungeons. You might find Lionels, you might find a squid, or a sack of worms. But finding those boots, that's going to direct Teto right to Sanctuary for Bonk Rocks and the book inside of the actual Sanctuary as well.
Boots are a great thing to find. He's going to need that sword first, though, as we get a big 300 rupees from the Waterfall Fairy cave here.
So a nice little clear out of Zora's Fountain for DIVISIGNS here with the flips, finding that Zora money. He had it before, but having a little bit more pocket change is always worth it, as we find a hammer on Zora Ledge. So this may actually not be an Agaseed if we are able to find a pair of protective gloves used for lifting.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm trying to think of where exactly you can find the gloves here. I think we've got Zelda's cell down here and the back of the escape sequence. Because Zora is just going to give us 20 rupees. So if
Eastern
we don't find
Palace
it here,
boss is also in logic as long as it's not locked by, like you said, a red Igor that somehow ended up still being vanilla.
that's the case here, and we're gonna get a quick little death warp here. That's one nice thing about Randomizer. Your death warps are quite quickly usually. So we're going to get to see what sort of madness is in the back of Escape here, because this can get these rooms back here where just usually are just some snakes and you can kind of walk around them. Well, they've changed now, so this could get all sorts of fun here. So this is one of my favorite rooms to kind of check. It could be really hard or it could be really easy. Let's take a look here. What do we got? Oh, well, that's just a red beetle, a couple of, well, but that's a, those rocks are kind of saying you shouldn't pass, but he gets through that without too much problem.
As we see DIVISIGNS opening up Sastra's closet, just going to find a cape, and we are locked here from getting the backside without a small key. So, unfortunately, we need the gloves in order to get to the back of Escape.
Right, so it looks like we're gonna have to see if we've got a Agaseed here or not, because we're gonna get Bonk Rocks open, and neither of these runners went up to Lumberjack Cave, which might be the answer for all of this right now. And if something is on Lumberjack Cave, well, this is 100% going to be an Agaseed.
Interesting here, DIVISIGNS is going into the escape sequence as well. Not quite sure if this is an Agaseed or not. There could be a boss on Eastern Palace that is in logic for us to kill that could be holding an item. I know we found 2 items in Eastern. I don't know if we got the 3rd.
I don't believe we did, but I'm not sure either. This is going to be one of the big checks here to see if we've got an Agaseed. As we go to the Lumberjack Cave, if we see something sitting here on the ledge, we know what we're doing. That's a single rupee. That's not a reason to beat Aga, but we still might have to.
Yeah, as Teto is kind of going through the rest of their options with those boots and lamp, you can go ahead and do the parts of Desert Palace that DIVISIGNS has done. Unfortunately, we're unable to get to the back without those dang gloves.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be the case right here. we're gonna finally gonna get a mini Moldorm check over here on Teto's side, as he's gonna run into the cave, see the 4 shadows, and gonna have to kill them with bombs. He's only got 5, so this might not be particularly easy here, as he just decides to run away.
Yeah, unfortunately, we know that our sharp object is locked inside that mini Moldorm cave. Not much you could do as he heads over into desert, going to find that mirror and flips.
This is actually worse for him, because I don't know if those bombs will be enough to do that kill room in Desert Palace, which won't get him his mirror.
The mirror is in that chest there, in that kill room, so he'll be able to get the
it's
mirror.
not behind it. Right,
Yeah,
right.
He'll be able to get the big key for desert, but we know the other item is on the whatever is in the Landmola's room.
Oh, you can get the hammer behind that's currently behind the flippers.
Yep.
But
so that will get you a sort of weapon.
He'll have to go all the way around, it looks like, to get that, and he's currently waiting for a Hinox to get out of his way, unfortunately.
As DIVISIGNS is heading into the Dark Cross, we know it's nothing of importance, specifically a small key.
One of the things I love about Randomizer is it kind of challenges the runners. Like, what sort of ways can you defeat all of the enemies here? Like, he's going to sit here and he's looking at this, and he's got a few different enemies. Takes out 2 with 1 bomb. That's a nice shot right there. And then he's got to try to get this one there, and I don't know if he can.
Got 1 more bomb to use.
All
Check
of
it
his
out.
bombs?
Yeah, no. Well, a little bit of good luck there, as we know that's just the big key, and there's nothing on the lampstand or big chest. For Teto, we do know those flippers are on the desert ledge. More than assuredly, he's going to head out there momentarily.
Yeah.
DIVISIGNS is debating as to what he needs to do here. We know he needs to head into Eastern Palace to get a lamp. He's going to check Bonk Rocks here. Not going to find any progression.
At this point, we are down to the only place left that could have a glove to save them from doing an Agaseed here is the Eastern Palace boss. And that's assuming that we were not counting exactly right. That might have been the reason that Teto decided to just immediately run away there. He might have gotten all 3 items. I unfortunately wasn't counting. There was the mushroom, there was the lamp, and the other 2 items and
the big key was found to open up that big chest. So the only thing that we're missing is what was in the compass chest of Eastern, and I think it was just the map.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand not wanting to go to the back of those other rooms there, especially without having a sword or anything like that. I mean, you could try to force your way through the Eastern Palace dark rooms, which usually for the runners is no big deal. But in Randomizer, those things can be really nasty, especially if you don't have a sword.
Yep. So
you need
yeah,
something to defend yourself with.
We don't know what's inside of the big key chest in Eastern. We don't know what's on the boss. Unfortunately, I had the cough when Teto was opening the compass chest, so I looked away for a second and missed what it was and noticed nothing on tracker changed. So, it was nothing.
It's nothing that we actually have to worry about, because I mean, if chat's not going crazy or if the tracker's not saying something, forget it. Who cares? Well, DIVISIGNS will give us the final information here. He's going to pick up his mushroom. He's doing a great job of not bonking into random enemies here with some of these placements of just these rocks right into the middle here. And unfortunately, our tracker's going, I don't remember either. But well done. Well done there.
We're going to have to dock Dark Diplomat's pay for this evening for not remembering, for covering our butts.
All right. Well,
I'm kidding, of course.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was about to say, is he getting paid? Like, I need to talk to my agent.
Which, by the way, you can give these runners a follow. If you hit the !R command, you will get that prompt for the links to each of our runners' Twitch pages. You can do the same with the commentary and trackers, !C. Go ahead and give us a follow if you find us entertaining or boring or anything, please. Really, I need more internet friends.
Yeah, if you want to come and yell at me for random things, I'm more than welcome, more than available for a sounding board right now. As DIVISIGNS is making his way, and we're finally going to get the information here. If there's another item back here,
50 roops. Okay, so yeah, we know where all the items are inside of Eastern Palace. So yes, this is an Agasteed.
Oh, fun! Oh, joys of joys! Oh, absolute fun there. And DIVISIGNS deciding also to just immediately save and quit out of Eastern Palace.
We got all three items, the mushroom, 50 roops, and the lamp.
But you could possibly be able to complete Eastern Palace, so I'm a little surprised that you don't at least check, because it's not a super long check to go back there. And I mean, you do have to do it, so I mean, I guess you're hoping that right now, after doing pod, you can take that mirror and go to Eastern Palace and knock them out together, maybe with a little bit better weaponry, a little bit better, layout. But I'm a little surprised that neither of these runners decided to go for it there.
As DIVISIGNS is turning in his mushroom, just gonna pick up 20 rupees and get the bad news that we gotta climb a wizard's tower.
Yeah, and if I was DIVISIGNS there, I would have thought long and hard about upgrading that green potion for a blue potion, or a red, or something like that, just because we're going to be dealing with a very fun tower in just a second.
Oof, Teto has one heart to work with, trying to hammer out these shadow fiends from the Shadow Realm. Down to one more.
One thing he can do is he can just lay the bombs next to their spawn point, and they will die there. He gets them down, so he's going to be rewarded with a very, very, very nice sword in just a second there, and that should tell him that, hey, guess what? You got to go do Aga.
Yeah, as Teto has gone through all of the other checks here outside of a couple of the big key chest in Desert, which has the big key and the big chest in Desert. I would imagine those two things combined are not worth running all the way back over for, and we're going to have two players climbing an Aga tower.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, Pickleman, you gotta use a bomb on them.
Yeah, this is gonna get all sorts of different fun here.
We have crabs, we've got Pickleman, we've got...
Yeah, I'm waiting right now to see what's gonna be in this dark maze, because I've had seeds before where you get chain chomps and rollers in here. And no, it's a nice one. Okay.
Lots of mimics and squid bags and an anti-fairy for good measure as well.
A lot of the times, like runners, runners have done Aga tower climbs 500 times, and you're walking in and you're going, okay, I've got what is this, 8 hearts, blue mail. I am completely 100% fine. There's nothing I need to worry about. This is Randomizer changes that very quickly on you, because now all of a sudden you're dealing with, like you said, Pickleman. You're dealing with all sorts of stuff, as DIVISIGNS is remembering that, you know what, I've got a cape and I've got full magic. I don't need to fight half of these guys. I can just disappear.
I can just pass through them without any effort.
It's like,
why am I making this difficult on myself?
Something's trying to kill me. I'm gone now.
As
Oh, man.
we are through 2/3 of the kill rooms, we just have a couple more left to go through. As we have more wandering spirits. And we've got one more somewhere.
Yeah. They like to run in between the statues there. These runners will be very happy to see a hook shot, because if they get a hook shot, you can just kill those guys by just hook shotting the point where they spawn, and then they die even though you can't see them. Otherwise, you've kind of got to sit here and just.
So we gotta kill an Igor here for a key. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we gotta actually be really careful, because they're gonna do a heart of damage no matter what. And DIVISIGNS picks up a single heart there, and he's gonna try to do this the hard way and just slashing him with the sword.
There we go. We got one down, as Teto is exactly one room behind on this AGA 1 climb.
Teto's made up some time on this AGA climb here. It's pretty good, as he smartly takes the pot and just chucks it right at the Igor there to get through. And I'm gonna have to hit the other one. Does that no problem. And all in all, not a terrible AGA climb. Some silliness, but so far it's not been anything that the runners can't handle. But we've got a good chance of going to pod here in a second, or it's going to be interesting because the runners are going to have a choice. You can go to pod, or you can go down to Hype Cave. Which one are you going to do?
As we get a wizard fight, chat, put in to the chat here how many blue balls you think our runners are going to get. There's one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a nice 3.
There's 2. I usually go with 4.
Honest, I've got to give DIVISIGNS a lot of credit for using this sprite. I don't know how he does it. This would just constantly mess me up.
Yeah, that small levitation above your shadow, the hint tile here being very, very rectangular.
It looks like 2 was the answer today, so we had 2 blue balls. So these runners got the nice, easy AGA fight there. Only basically a single cycle, as just a piece of heart there sitting on the pyramid. So now, which way are we going to go? So that's a green pendant pod, a blue pendant turtle rock, and a red pendant misery mire. Interesting. Looks like Hype Cave's going to be our next place right there. So at this point, we've got the makings of what could be a jet seed here. Although if we threw anything in those medallion dungeons, we're gonna start looking at some very, very, very painful times here, as Hype Cave is just bombs, and there is our glove. All right, so we finally got something actually useful out of Hype Cave there in the very back, hiding.
3.5 out of 10 hype.
Teto looking like he read the spoiler log there, almost walking directly to the back and picking up his glove first before he gets his way out there. I kind of like that, going backwards to forwards. Smart check on DIVISIGN's side here. Having the mirror early and also having this book, he's going to go ahead and see if Bombo's tablet actually has something, as Teto gets dive bombed from the sky by a Stalfos Knight.
Makes me wonder if DIVISIGNS is going to head into Swamp Palace. You can do the front of it with the hammer, the flips, and the mirror.
Oh.
Would not be a bad play. It does have a high density of items.
I mean, here's the thing. If you had Samaria now, I think you'd probably be you might be a little bit more willing to do that. I mean, to go in without the hook shot is always a uncomfortable play. Like you don't want like you want to go in there and just full clear. You don't even want to get to think about it outside of it most of the time. I mean, it's a possibility, but it would require some guts. Let's put it that way.
And sometimes that's the difference in a race. You're willing to make that one thing different that most of the time you wouldn't be willing to gamble on, but all of a sudden you're going 6 items. I can do all of the front of it. I'm still missing a more upgrade glove. Oh, there's the hook shot. Oh, we're most definitely heading into Swamp Palace now.
Yeah, let's go to Swamp Palace now. Well, yeah, so on to Swamp Palace here, and we're talking about going to Swamp Palace like it's something that we can 100% complete. We don't know what the boss is yet, and
that's correct.
to be honest, we're in a decent being able to kill pretty much any boss here, but we don't have the items. Well, Cold Stare, we don't have the items necessary to kill Trinex. All the other bosses can be done. Some of them are extremely unfun, but the other bosses can be done.
As Teto enters into Swamp Palace, DIVISIGNS is opting to clear through the village of outcasts and maybe loop in Thieves Town, perhaps Skull Woods as well. We do have a cape, so we can check Bumper Ledge. We have the mirror. We can do the King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge checks as well. So a pretty smart play. Really, honestly, both runners not making what is the wrong call. Both of these make perfect sense.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like to be the other thing is this might be a good time to do a ped check here. One thing that I'm actually kind of noticing, I'm gonna give the credit here to chat, is when you have a green pendant pod, that bow isn't actually a go mode item. It's a kind of a luxury item at this point, because you don't need the bow to beat GT anymore, because those red mimics are not going to be there. As we're dealing with wall masters in Swamp Palace, which is just the best.
As we're getting our first checks through here in Thieves Town as well on the right-hand side. Just a compass in the first chest. We're going to check our second one as well. Finding that Cane of Samaria in the second check of Thieves Town is DIVISIGNS. Going to be able to use that for some new glitches, perhaps later on. As Teto continues the clearing of Swamp Palace, finding some bombs in the compass chest.
Yeah, the bunny sprite on DIVISIGNS' side there, the troll link basically was that's a thing of beauty.
As we see Teto go back to front here in Swamp Palace. It is the new strategy for a lot of runners going through. If you happen to find no actual non-dungeon items in the front, you can safely assume that you're probably going to have a pair somewhere in the back on the left-hand side.
And are we going to go directly back? We are on DIVISIGNS. We're going to get our first boss here, and there's one Argus. So this is a completable boss.
And we'll see what we have for Teto coming forward with their boss as well, and just a few rooms. Finding that compass in back here on the waterfall chest.
I got to admit, this is kind of some lucky-ish routing for DIVISIGNS here. Being able to come from the south, pick up that hook shot, and then decide to go continue north. If he had started in the village of outcasts and decided to be going to, well, I guess he's an Agassiz, so he wouldn't have. But if he had like saved and quit or something and then gone to village of outcasts, he wouldn't have been getting this hook shot. And now he's got to try to hit Argus with a hammer. This is gonna be fun.
As we find a Trinex inside of Swamp Palace, we need the fire and ice rod in order for this seed to be completable.
You knew it was gonna happen. As we get 300 rupees there off of the Argus, and we get our first crystal here at about 38 minutes, about 39 minutes into the seed.
As we see Teto head inside to Desert Palace. Again, this makes perfect sense. It is a crystal. You now have that fire source and glove to complete. Should it be a boss you can defeat? Again, Trinex and Cold Stare are the only bosses in the pool right now that either of our runners cannot defeat. So Teto playing the odds. We know it's only probably a 1 out of 11 chance that he's gonna see something he can't kill.
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do in Randomizer too. You can't, you kind of just gotta go to the bosses and go, I hope I can beat this. And then when you see Trinex, you go, dang, and leave and go out of that there. What's your guesses for Desert Palace today? What do you think we're gonna have hiding back here?
I think we're going to either find a Moldorm or a Blind.
You're going to go with an easy one. Actually, I think I probably will as well. Let me see. I'm going to say we're going to have an Argus Knights back here.
Also,
Argus Knights. Armos Knights. There we go. Let's try that again.
We cannot kill the Armos Knights unless you want to spin strat with that fighter sword. We do not have a bow or a boomerang.
And you can kill them with the sword.
You can. It's just going to take a while. I'd rather say, I'm out and find something later.
Well, no, I mean, the one thing about the Armos Knights is you can use a lot of different things to kill them. It's the best way, honestly, is to, if you have Cane of Burna, you can actually completely devastate them very quickly, as Graveyard Ledge has a shovel. So, yeah, that's another place to add to the list of checks we're gonna have to do. Yeah, no, if you run in here and you find out that you've got a Armos Knights, probably these runners' best idea right now is just to poke them. Just use your fighter sword here and just poke them, because the damage table there actually spin strats, because that, I believe spin strats work as a Master Sword slash, and Master Sword slashes actually do less damage than Fighter Sword slashes do to the Armos Knights, because the game has been programmed in the most convenient way possible.
I mean, it makes sense. It's impossible in the vanilla game for you to have the Master Sword on an Armos fight outside of the GT climb. It's like Butter Sword does nothing to Mothula in vanilla, right, because you're not supposed to have it at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole list of things that oh, hey, you got your blind. Blind is actually from like a completely trivial boss to someone that you kind of actually have to work with a little bit, because you are immediately off script on a Randomizer fight with Blind, as he gets a good amount of damage there on Teto, but Teto still takes him down without too much problem. And he's going to get crystal number 1 for himself. As
we find half magic on our other friendly fish-faced friend in the Dark World, Catfish. So DIVISIGNS getting that nice level of comfort for his life when it pertains to magic. As we are entering into the back of escape as well from DIVISIGNS. It makes perfect sense.
that's an amazing safety to get here, as we are dealing with tons of thieves back here. If you take that half magic, you give me that cape, and you give me any sort of bad room at this point, I am immediately disappearing and nothing will touch me.
Unfortunately, not finding anything but a plastic shield and a heart container in the back of Escape. No progression for either of our runners there. So, Teto did not check left side swamp. We know there's a Trinex in the back, but we know there's at least one item over on the left-hand side. Could a fire rod be there? Could a Titan's mitts be there? We don't quite know, as we're going to be climbing up Death Mountain on the light-hand side versus the Dark World.
I mean, if you believe in reading the logic, you've got everything that you need to complete. Here, oh my God! Look at this monstrosity.
And then Vulture just comes in at the last second. Hi, I'm here too. Ha!
I'm the only one you don't need to worry about here. Now, right there, there's your reason why you don't do things in the dark in Randomizer. Because if you were doing that in the dark, there's a good chance you're just going to be in a constant loop there, because you're gonna get murdered, and then immediately get respawned right back at where you saved the uncle.
As we see Gary Oldman with the bow, our runners are no longer scared of that Armos fight.
Yeah, that's going to make things a lot easier here. I mean, both of these runners are going to be really happy if they can end up finding silver arrows, because that'll make half of these fights much, much easier than they currently are. Right now, as they're currently laid out, if they run into a Vitreous, it's going to be a not enjoyable time. And it'll be fun for us. They'll probably hate every minute of it, but I mean, I'm going to be laughing the entire time, because watching someone do a fighter sword Vitreous fight is just a treat.
As we find our first item here in the Tower of Hera being a full heart container on our ether tablet, we have ourselves just more explosion. As we have the big key here in the bottom chest, we're going to see a Hera pot.
There are so many different setups for this Hera pot here. DIVISIGNS is using, I'd say I call this the Koi setup here. I think this is the one that Koi kind of popularized there. Gets it the first time, so that's quite well done there.
As the Hera pot involves you being on a very specific location for a bomb to push you into the pot by 1 pixel. It saves you approximately 40 seconds in climbing up the middle part of the Tower of Hera.
That was an extremely rude Stalfos Knight there, right guarding that big chest. I think DIVISIGNS heard the sound of someone coming down, and he immediately moved off to the side.
As we find a cold stare in the very top of the Tower of Hera, we're going to have to come back with either a Bombos Medallion and a Master Sword or a Fire Rod.
Oh, yeah, it's either a Bombos Medallion or a Bombos Medallion or the Fire Rod there, because if you've got a sword, you can use your medallions.
Now, interesting here that the DIVISIGNS did get that small key in Tower of Hera, and opting to peace out and not check the basement. As we are still looking for one more item, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so too, and I think, to be honest, that's the right call in this case. You might not need that item in the basement, and it's a slow check. As we're getting Anti-Fairy to show us the way to the hole in Spiral Cave right there.
As we find ourselves 20 rupees here in the bottom of Spiral Cave.
Finals everywhere. All right, Paradox Cave is going to be a treat here. You know what? I'd still go around there, DIVISIGNS. You're down to a heart and a half. I would be careful.
There is a shop vendor here that sells hearts if you want to use it, but
yeah, most people aren't gonna go ahead and go all the way over there. There's gonna 2 hearts underneath these pots, so he'll pick these up for sure. We get a green bottle and just a red rupee in the bottom or top of Paradox Cave, in one of the sections of Paradox Cave, we'll call it.
I think this is that was technically the middle, and I've kind of explained how I think Paradox Cave works. So that bottom cave you enter into, I think that's on a higher elevation than the middle cave that you fall down into. That's where you kind of are able to you fall down to go up, kind of deal. I think that's how it works.
I just kind of go with Paradox Cave being an MC Escher painting, quite honestly, and it just we've got nothing. Oh.
All right, so this leaves us a couple of different choices. We did not see a full clear of either Thieves Town or of Swamp Palace. Our runners each going right to the boss. Swamp Palace being a Trinex, Thieves Town being Argus, so we were able to get a clear with having Hookshot there. But there are multiple items in both of those dungeons that our players decided to not do while they were there the first time.
Yeah, so we missed some of the more fun rooms to do in Thieves Town. And with DIVISIGNS going to go in here, he's going to not be able to full clear this, but we'll have to see if he's going to go all the way to the left side, because that's where one thing could possibly be. So,
and in finding that bow, I see a green pendant on the Palace of Darkness.
Yep, that's another option as well.
That's 6 checks in total you can loop in with a possible full clear of Eastern Palace that is a crystal. That is the second red crystal as well, because you can do Desert Palace if you are DIVISIGNS, and Teto already has that crystal from Desert Palace, so we'll see when they decide to head over there. We're kind of running out of checks.
You bring up a good point. Like, this is a seed where it is kind of showing you, hey, the Pyramid Fairy might actually be a thing today. You might want to knock out these 2 dungeons as quickly as possible.
As DIVISIGNS going through Swamp Palace here, more than likely Teto's going to head right into Thieves Town after checking the brewery here in the Village of Outcasts. Gonna see it's an Argus and be able to get another crystal.
Just some rude Wallmaster placement here so far from in Swamp Palace there. DIVISIGNS doing a little bit of a quick dodging there to make sure he doesn't get pulled back to the front of the dungeon there. There's some awful places that those Wallmasters can show up in an Randomizer seed. Like some of the worst. We had a race just the other day where somebody at the very top of GT got grabbed by a Wallmaster and sent all the way to the bottom.
That just hurts when you see that.
Yeah. I know, speaking from experience, I once lost an Randomizer race when I got grabbed by a Wallmaster just as I was dropping into the Ice Palace boss room. That one got some words from me. I'll say that.
Yeah, that is not fun. As we see DIVISIGNS going over to the flooded room, we're going to see our first diver down skip in this seed. Oof, but having some giant Staphoses to kind of deal with.
I think, yeah, he's got the block too far to the left there. It's not going to work currently. I would actually take the second here and...
and he's pushing too far left again.
Nope.
Oh, no, he got it. Nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
Okay, he was able to pick up those things and just got a red bottle out of that. So saved himself, you know, a couple of seconds there.
It's anywhere between 15 and 20 seconds since he had to reset up. But again, that's time saved compared to your opponent having to drain that water in the first place. As DIVISIGNS is going to find the bad news that we have a angry turtle inside of Swamp Palace that likes to breathe fire and ice.
Yeah. This is always one of those terrible moments there when you're in when you're running an Randomizer seed, when you run into one of those and you just kind of go, yeah, well, great.
And DIVISIGNS opting to leave Swamp Palace as well. Both runners leaving that left side for later. I'm assuming both runners would have full cleared left side if that was a boss that they could have beaten.
It's hard to say. It's one of those things. It would depend on what do you get from the boss. If you're getting an item from the boss, you might not do it. Doing left side swamp, skipping that is always one of the biggest risk reward things in the game here. Now with Diver Down, it's less so, as Teto picks up crystal number 2 for himself there at about 54 minutes and 30 seconds or so. As DIVISIGNS is making his way through Desert Palace there, he's probably going to go get his second crystal pretty quick. But yeah, like skipping left side swamp anymore with Diver Down, it's a little bit faster to be able to do it. So I don't know. It's one of those decisions you're going to have to make, and it's a gamble that if you put the ice rod back there or you put fire rod back there, you could sit there and be losing yourself a lot more time than you would be typically.
I think with the item layout that you have right now and the limiting factors of the dungeons that you could full clear if you happen to find one more item, like for example, if you find that fire rod in left side swamp, now all of a sudden you can do Skullwoods as well. And you can go back into Hera to get Cold Stare dead. It helps that they're gonna have to come back anyway with the Ice Rod and Fire Rod to kill Trinex and Swamp Palace, but you're also looking for numerous other items as well.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, like, what do you think? Are you gonna worry about the one item in left side swamp, or are you gonna worry about the, say, like 5-6 items hiding over in pod right now? Like, it comes down to this, or the fire rod will just be sitting in the vanilla dungeon.
French vanilla.
And that'll be that. So now he doesn't even have to worry. So now we get to see who's in the most fun boss room in the game. We could get ourselves a helicopter. We could get a Vitreous, which is
probably the worst because we only have Fighter Sword at the moment.
I mean, and the way that you drop down in that thing, if you've got a Vitreous back there, is just, you end up dropping down, and a lot of times you land immediately on one of his eyeballs, and so you immediately take a massive amount of damage. So this is gonna be an interesting one there. Even Armos Knights in the back of Skullwoods is just a handful. This could be fun.
I can imagine Vitreous in an Randomizer in that back room. Ow! I've got some Teto in my eyes.
Oh man, I'm excited now. I kind of want to see exactly who we got.
As that is not a fun placement for a big spiky ball.
Teto's going to take the extra 2 seconds here to go make sure that he gets pretty high up on his magic, and then he also gets pretty high up in his hearts, because one more thing that we're seeing here is we don't have the Bombos medallion. So we've seen one we've seen one cold stare so far, but there could also be another cold stare back here, and you need, without having Bombo's medallion, you're going to need full magic to be able to beat them. Luckily, they have a couple of green pots, but I mean, you probably would be less happy to do this here, as we had a vanilla flute out of this, and we've got a helicopter.
We have the two best flying objects in all of Hyrule, a Helmcopter and a magical interdimensional flying space duck at the same exact time.
Oh man, look at that thing. His poor tail. He's trying the best it can, but it just can't be normal right now.
If he was doing yard work, he'd be the Helmna weed whacker.
Oh, now the real fun begins, because he's going to go to speed plus. So you've got to try to hit him on the eye here, on the jewel, while the floor is moving, while not getting hit by these fireballs. This is not a easy fight, because usually you just pump him full of the arrows and it's no big deal. But the problem is you're now moving back and forth. This is a great time right here.
I am most assuredly going to tell you Teto is not having a great time. Many, many words are being said currently in this fight as we enter the Palace of Darkness for the first time in DIVISIGNS Seed. One more arrow, I think. Nope, two more.
All right, that spin slash there got him at the end, so that's a good thing.
Just finds the big key on the Helmcopter.
So we're gonna have to check the bridge under the chest under the bridge here in just a second, and possibly that big key chest to find what exactly it is that we're looking for.
As we were not vanilla bow-locked in the front of Palace of Darkness, finding a small key in that first chest, of course. This being Randomizer, we don't know what's in that bow room that you normally shoot those mimics with. Could be anything.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the fun of it, is that Randomizer is going to change how you route Palace of Darkness, because like you mentioned, you're actually never bow locked right now, because you're not going to find enemies back there that you're not able to kill. So as long as you can kill enemies, you're going to be able to get here, and we're going to get our ped check here. It's not likely to be something, but let's take a look. Oh my god. All right, everybody, I'm having a day. Have a good day. I'm going to go...
Sit back, relax, and strap it down. We have ourselves the Fable Aga Pedestal Randomizer Seed, ladies and gentlemen. That is a big piece of information for Teto that DIVISIGNS does not have at the moment. As we know where our Trinex is at, he's on a crystal dungeon. So we're going to have to find some medallions here soon.
We're going to be finding pretty much everything.
And now those Orphan Thieves Town and Swamp Palace checks are now oh so crucial.
Oh my god, that incredibly rude Wallmaster said, "Oh, you want to try a bomb jump? That's adorable." Oh, wow. Okay, now I've got to pay attention over to DIVISIGNS here, because he's in the back of pod, and we need to find exactly what we've got here, because with that information, Teto has a huge information advantage now, knowing that we actually have a ped seed. Because I was like, in my head while we're doing this, I'm thinking, there's only really one item that can be on the ped. That's why I said before he checked it, that it's probably nothing, because it would have to have been the ice rod at this point. And yep, it was. Yeah, that's what it was. As
we get a dark maze route through for DIVISIGNS, finding flying mushrooms that drop bombs. Nothing really else inside, so pretty safe. More than likely, the DIVISIGNS is going to head into the back of Palace of Darkness, get that green pendant. We know he needs it. DIVISIGNS, go kill the boss. Okay, we don't know what the boss is. Could be anything, but more than likely it's going to be something that we can kill, unless it is another cold stare. I think Trinex can spawn here as well, but we've already found one, so you're going to be playing the odds of... I've already got one in my pocket. What's the likelihood we're going to have two?
Well, I mean, the one good thing is since we know it's a Ped Seed, this is not going to be a Trinex. Because you can't, because the ice rod's on Ped, so that it's not going to be a Trinex, but it could be anything else. Oh man, this is crazy. To be honest, like I don't know what it is about this week, but I've commentated now 2 Randomizer seeds, and both of them have been Ped seeds.
Yeah, and on top of that, we had to do AGA to get access to that glove in Hype Cave. Teto heading over to do what I assume is Catfish and then Pod. Knowing you got a full clear, you know it's not a Trinex. Might as well go do it now. And he's going to pick up the half magic from the friendly give a toot, don't pollute Catfish.
That good old, and in this case, he's going to be really happy to see that half magic, because that just makes the rest of the game, I don't want to say trivial, but it's going to make it a lot easier, as this is not a fun room with all of these red jellies in here. We're going to be using our hookshot a lot and trying to hit their tiny hitboxes.
Tiny jellies. As we get the save and quit from Teto, going to probably head over to Palace of Darkness from the Pyramid. And we have inside a Vitreous. Okay, this one isn't a terrible Vitreous location. No poison pool, you're not moving around. Just unfortunately, you're going to have to spin to win with that fighter sword. Half magic's going to help out a whole heck of a bunch. You do have a green potion in pocket as well.
Yeah, I don't know what the best way. I think DIVISIGNS probably has got the best method for dealing with this right now. The one problem is that you can't like damage boost through the slime and only take like a single heart of damage right now. You actually have to be very careful here, and he's done a great job of getting rid of all of the small eyeballs. And then same thing as always here is we get, what just happened?
I think the first arrow he shot clipped into the spike ball that was behind Vitreous and did not do damage.
That was a strange thing right there.
So eliminating possibilities here for Eastern Palace. We've seen Blind, we've seen Vitreous, we've seen Cold Stare, we know where Trinex is at. We've seen an Argus. I'm thinking more than likely we're going to have a boss to be able to kill in Eastern.
The hitboxes are the best in this game.
Teto's music has disappeared!
Yay, the Randomizer glitch. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Where occasionally the music just decides, nope, I'm done. That's it. I don't want to be a part of this either.
And unfortunately, we do not have usable audio from DIVISIGNS. So enjoy this sound effect ASMR stream brought to you by the ALTTPR Team Racing League. Check out the website alttprleague.com for scheduling, current standings, and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want, I can sing the dungeon song here for us, but I don't think anybody wants me to be doing that, so we're just gonna be sitting here and waiting. Teto being smart there, knowing that using that fire rod on the guys, using that fire rod on the red jellies there will make it so that they don't split. And oh my god, okay, so in there, DIVISIGNS.
Oh, this room. Lionels, moldies, skeletons that like to activate. And we just need one singular small key here. That's all we need.
The good news for DIVISIGNS here is that he's got the blue mail, so these Lionels aren't really doing a huge amount of damage with them, especially with the light with those fireballs. Those fireballs actually don't hurt that much from the Lionels. It's the actual like body damage. Like if you actually touch them, then that hurts a lot. But the fireballs, you can use that, no problem.
You could say hugging them is your main event.
So I could say that. I wasn't going to, but yes. This is a much more comfortable room here for DIVISIGNS. So we're going to get a quick look here in just about a second of what is hiding here in Eastern Palace, assuming some of these enemies wants to play nice. And this is our second Vitreous.
Ouch! Eyeboy just occupying all of the east side of Hyrule in Light and Dark World. You could say he's eyeing a veritable prize of death.
Well, and we're gonna actually, this is kind of interesting there. That means that we now have at least a little bit of knowledge of what is in our thing, as the music has decided to finally come back and join us for the Vitreous fight over on Teto's side. Thanks, music. It looks like DIVISIGNS has decided that, you know what, I'm just going to use my darn green potion already and take down some of these now. Now, at this point, I don't think we should run into any sort of crazy spike shenanigans with the arrows not hitting Vitreous, as DIVISIGNS, yeah, easily takes him down and goes down into the middle of the room to get his, what is that, crystal number 3.
Catching up with Teto here in Crystal Clears. The difference now is Skullwoods to this Eastern Palace and pod loop together as we prepare for...
It looks like we have the same sort of collusion problems over here on Teto's side, as he decides, you know what, I'm just going to go to the very edge of the room here to make sure that this thing can't hit me. Smart move on his side.
One could say that Vitreous was a real eyesore for our runners in the Palace of Darkness.
I think that was the only pun that chat didn't get themselves.
Well, luckily our runners were able to see themselves through this.
Oh, that's it. I'm going to go get coffee.
As we're going to get a Pyramid Fair check from DIVISIGNS. We know that Fire Rod is inside of Skullwoods. We know that Ice Rod is on pedestal. We're going to have to enter Misery Mire and Turtle Rock. No medallions discovered so far. No Titan's Mitts, and we're over 80 minutes into this seed.
I mean, DIVISIGNS actually is going ahead and beating pod here. He's probably in his head thinking to himself, oh god, I've just wasted so much time. Everything is terrible. This is awful. It turns out, actually, no, he made the exact right play, but he didn't actually know it, because we've got ourselves a nice Ice Rod on the pedestal. Hooray!
As we just find 2 big pieces of heart inside of the Pyramid Fairy. Not much left here for DIVISIGNS to do. We know that Fire Rod is in Swamp Palace.
Skullwoods, actually.
Or yeah, in Skullwoods. DIVISIGNS, are you going to check the basement of Tower of Hera? That's the only thing you haven't done yet.
This could be a Spike Cave check, actually.
That's also possible.
I'm kind of thinking that's what he's thinking there. He's thinking the half magic plus the cape means Spike Cave is open to him. And yeah, he's pulling out the hammer. That's where he's headed right now. These poor runners.
We do not have Dark World East Death Mountain. We know there's a sword there, but we need those Titans mitts to open up those portals.
I mean, on Divisign's side here, this is a very logical place for the mitts to be. It's a terrible place, but it is a logical place for them to be. But it's just 50 rupees, so...
Those Titans mitts have to be somewhere in Swamp Palace or Thieves Town.
Or Tower of Hera, too, because it could be sitting there behind that cold stare at the top of the mountain. As Teto's going to find out that... Yeah, Teto's going to find this room is a ton of fun.
But gets that key super early from that fire rod shot to start this heckin' room.
Yeah, the rest of it is pretty easy through here. So Divisign's deciding that, yeah, in Randomizer, you can never have too many potions. So he's making a quick pit stop to grab a couple of blue goos because those will come in handy at some point when the game decides that, hey, you know what you haven't seen today? You haven't seen crystal rollers. Have some crystal rollers. They're fun.
As Divisigns heads to what is the Link's House portal. Are we getting a Bombos tablet check? Are we going back into Swamp Palace to do left side? Let's see.
We're going to soften up the vitreous over on Teto's side there with a handful of bombs first.
As Teto entered into this boss room and said, "Oh, nice to see you again here, Vitreous."
And just when I thought that the puns were over, they came roaring right back.
Yeah, they were once out of sight, but now they're back again.
One thing that you can do with Vitreous fights like this is it's actually if you because occasionally you'll miss arrows if you are off to there, so you can just go off to like the top left or the bottom, top left or top right, and just fire arrows there, and you'll just go directly across the 12 eyes or something that are up there, and immediately take them all down. Teto showing he didn't even need to do that.
Real easy to get them in your sights with that bow over on the right or left hand side.
Hey.
I think I'll see my way out now.
Yep. Oh man. Okay, so where to, Teto? You've gotten all of this. You're probably thinking to yourself, what am I going to do now? You need to go do Dig Spot to get your flute, and then you'll have the exact same things as Divisigns as he's moving his way very slowly to the left side. He unfortunately can't really do Diver Down because he went directly to the back first. So he's got to do this the traditional long way, as find out that the green pendant turn in is nothing of interest.
So yeah, both runners are going to be left with the option of doing this left-hand side, which Divisigns decides to do. We know we have an item or two in the back of Thieves Town. We know there's one more item in the Tower of Hera. The difference right now is Teto can free that cold stare at the very top of Tower of Hera.
Well, he's about to go get his flute, so that's kind of nice here. And we're finally going to see what has been hiding over here on the left side, as these poor runners are just being pushed all around here, trying to find where their mitts are hiding.
Now, the mitts would be a very nice thing for Divisigns to find, but we know where that fire rod is, and we know we have to do Turtle Rock and Misery Mire. So yeah, we need medallions very quickly. So I think the advantage is going to go to the first runner to find 2 medallions. At that point, you're going, okay, now I can kind of assume go mode, just with probability of having the medallions to open up the 2 pendant dungeons in the very back of the Dark World.
Right. Yeah. This is going to be kind of. I'm not actually. I'm going to be pretty. I'm going to think, honestly, that the myths are sitting in the big chest of Swamp Palace. Never mind.
So piecing out of Swamp Palace was absolutely the worst possible thing you could have done with those Titans mints in that big chest. Again, it's not a wrong move or a bad play. It's just sometimes rando gun rando.
I mean, it is. To be honest, the seed was pointing you there. Like you got the flippers, you got the mitts, you got not the mitts, you got the flippers, you got the hook shot, you got the mirror, all pretty much immediately upon your entry into Dark World. So there was big flashing signs saying that there was something in there, as we find the Bombos medallion on Misery Mire. That's one of our medallions for today. We'll have to see whether or not we've got something if we've got it just sitting on the underneath the porch here, and it's nope, that's just a red rupee. Looks like we're probably going to have to head up to the Death Mountain to start poking through the rest of the things up there, and that's where DIVISIGNS is headed.
And unfortunately for DIVISIGNS, you need that fire rod to progress through Turtle Rock. If you happen to find the medallion up in the Dark World of Death Mountain, you're going to be kicking yourself once you do discover that ice rod on pedestal.
Yeah, I mean, he's put off Skullwoods this entire time.
And that's not a bad play to do. You don't know what boss it is. You're really looking for that fire rod. You know where Cold Stare's at. If you find it here on Dark Death Mountain, you're going to go right over to Hera and clear it out and feel like you're way ahead in this race.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one problem with skipping Skull Woods, though, is that if something is in the front there, stuff gets really interesting. It looks like we're going to get a fake powder over on Teto's side, as he's just letting his magic burn all the way down. As Super Bunny Cave has our red mail for the day, so we've now got a golden block for DIVISIGNS.
And I was looking at the listings as to which members of their respective team raced last week. DIVISIGNS did end up racing Ambrosia last week. Makes me wonder how much crossover of maybe thinking bosses are going to have an item could be influencing this.
To say, and that's Ether on Turtle Rock, so oh my god, that's an awful place for that thief. Able to get him down there, and Hookshot Cave is going to get us just a big 20 to start off with. Another big 20. Third one is going to be I was about to say 10 arrows. Knock a guy off the side here, and just another big 20. Okay. Where's the items at?
Well, we are going to see DIVISIGNS pick up their second sword upgrade here momentarily to that Mr. Sword.
I'm kind of thinking it's the Cold Stare at the top of Hera.
It's extremely possible, as Teto is going to loop in that Cold Stare more than likely with a Spike Cave loop in. We know Spike Cave has absolutely nothing for us.
This might just be the Hera play. First, he might, since he's got that fire rod, he'll go get that get the Hera crystal. And then, yeah, then you're right. He's going to go down to Spike Cave and find out that, nope, sorry, this isn't it either.
Yeah, we are more than, well, we know what the medallions are for Misery Mire and Turtle Rock, but we have no idea where either of them are at. So each of the runners are missing up to 2 items for Go Mode. We know it is for sure 2. We know where that ice rod is at. It's on that pedestal, so we're bound to go to those 2 dungeons.
Yeah, so we're going to get the Smith chain check for DIVISIGNS here first. And then So we got a very, very aggressive Igor wanting to come over and say hi to DIVISIGNS there, even though he was picking up the rock. And now he seems to have disappeared, so, you know, logic makes sense.
He went home. He was upset that DIVISIGNS would not play with him, so he just went, okay, it's good, go back home.
Alright, it looks like Teto's got the very fun cold stare fight here. He's going to first break the shell and then try to time it so that he can get them into the corner and just ping them with whatever it is.
We do have an option to refill that fire rod. It does do gold sword damage on our cold stare, so that is most definitely the most effective way to take down our frozen eye boy. As we find just rupees on our wonderful Dwarven Smith. And there's our Bombos Medallion, which does open up Misery Mire. Teto does have the capacity to full clear Misery Mire as long as he can kill the boss, which, at this moment, as long as it's not another Trinex, he's good. But needs those Titan's Mitts from the big chest in Swamp Palace.
I think this is where Teto is going to start to get a bit of an advantage, as it turns out that your Gary's lunchbox there has your tempered sword. Just having that knowledge advantage here, although this might change really quickly, because it looks like DIVISIGNS is finally going, oh great, I guess it's in Skull Woods now. I guess I got to head there. So he might... I'm kind of curious if he thinks he's gonna check the pedestal, because it's like when we went earlier. Like when we went earlier, it was just going like, if you're the runner right now, you're thinking to yourself, well, let's see here. I mean, there's only like one item it could be on the pedestal. It's probably not that. And unfortunately today, yes, no, it is exactly the item that you think it is. We're missing a ice rod sitting there on the pedestal as he picks up his fire rod out of the front, and he's got to move back.
As Teto here, the sooner he can go get those Titan's Mitts, the better. It locks 2 sword progressions, and any time wasted for Teto is just time for DIVISIGNS to cleave through enemies with that tempered sword. Luckily, it looks as though he's going to go right back into Swamp Palace, going to go left side, and be able to catch up and grab all of the items they need from inside.
A little bit of an oops there as he runs into Swamp Palace there without draining the dam first there. Everybody has done that, especially, I mean, these runners at this point, I think in their head, Teto might understand that this is going to be a long seed. I think DIVISIGNS might be a little bit more. Yeah, he might be a little bit more panicked because he doesn't know just how bad this seed actually is going to be.
And he doesn't know how well off he is currently in playing how he's been playing, because he's done basically everything he's needed to do so far that we know he needed to do, just out of routing the seed as well as he could.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that's going to come out of this is DIVISIGNS goes ahead and cures immediately after finishing Skull Woods back here, as he drops in to see his fun little helicopter fight.
We have takeoff.
Oh man, it's such a fun fight there, because that tail does absolutely no damage. That's the one bonus about doing the helicopter fight, is the tail cannot hurt you. Now there's a lot of things in here that can hurt you. DIVISIGNS is going to have a much easier fight though with that tempered sword when he breaks off the mask.
Yeah, unfortunately Teto having to use arrow strats and fighter sword spin to take care of this helicopter. We're just going to be slashing 4 times, and he's going to die really quickly. No problem. There he goes, as we see Teto clear out and activate their left side Swamp Palace. DIVISIGNS, go check that ped. Just for your sanity. For our sanity, we know that once you do, you know what you're going to need to do.
Oh man, that hint tile when he picks up a crystal there gets the Triforce on it. The sprite work in this game is amazing, and it looks like we are going to get that ped check. So he's... Nope. Nope. Wait. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh. That's okay. He's going up there. He's going to Ice Palace.
I mean...
Not a bad play.
Yeah, it's not a bad play, but I mean, like in DIVISIGNS's defense here, that is a completely defensible play because it's the only thing that could be on ped that would hurt you is the ice rod, and the ice rod is never on pedestal except when it is. Yeah, so this is gonna hurt.
It depends upon how he decides to clear out Ice Palace with the new Icebreakers glitch. It does eliminate, 90 seconds of routing through Ice Palace?
Yeah, it is much faster, that's for sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure DIVISIGNS can do it. I mean, it is one of the newer glitches. Most people have taken a couple of seconds there and learned it. It's nothing by any means that we would call particularly difficult to learn. If you're interested in learning any of these new tricks, if you're watching it on the stream, you might be going, "Oh my god, I could never do that." Actually, it's really not that bad. You could just, my god.
This room.
So DIVISIGNS.
Holy.
DIVISIGNS is going to have to try to... Yeah, he's just saying, nope, no, you know what? I'm going to go to the left today.
Well, depending upon key logic, you do need to hit this switch over here if you are going to do the icebreaker, so...
It looks like that's what he decided to do right there. Because, yeah, if he's going to... That's what you do if you're going to full clear it. And, yeah, it looks like that's what he's going to do.
I do apologize, chat. This room made me roar.
I haven't had one yet today that's made me roar, but it will. There will be one here, and it looks like he's got it all set up. He's gonna do the quick little...
he's got it. Bam.
Yep.
And that saves you from doing the Ice Palace bomb jump. That saves you from doing a couple different Pengy rooms. As Teto is going to decide what they're going to do next with those Titan's mitts in hand. We know he has a medallion for Misery Mire. He knows he has to complete it. We're heading up Dark Death Mountain. We know there's really not much progression in it.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he didn't jump into Misery Mire there, knowing... I mean, he knows that it's a ped seed. And, well, I guess I don't know if he's been down to Misery Mire yet, has he? Because he just got the mitts.
Yeah, he just got the mitts, so... probably thinking I could use a sword upgrade. He knows there's one on the floating island, so you might as well go grab that. Master Sword, although not a huge upgrade compared to fighters, is still an upgrade, as we find... I think that was all 3 items inside of Ice Palace, with 2 heartbeats in the Friezo room and in the hookshot chest. So DIVISIGNS is just going to head right to the boss.
Luckily for DIVISIGNS, this is going to be a pretty quick Ice Palace, so this will be another kind of mark towards him not having to complete the entire, not having to waste the entire time here. Hopefully, he can realize that he's got to go and complete every single.
This is going to be our Armos. Oh, it's another Trinex! We've got 2 crystal dungeons locked behind Trinexes.
Okay, I kind of... Wow, that's so mean.
So we found 2 of our repeating bosses, Vitreous hoarding over the east side of Hyrule. We've got Trinexes hoarding over our flips required dungeons. Oh, this just gives me that sinking swimming feeling all over again.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. This is
unbelievable.
This is just awful. In every single way here. So DIVISIGNS is going to run up the mountain here. he's gonna have his cold stare fight. That will get him his fifth crystal. And
Was that a
we're
Lionel
now,
head flying around there?
yeah, that happens. That happens sometimes. You got to be careful when you cut down some of the bushes, because every once in a while you will run into something like a Lionel head there, and then there's nothing you can do with that. And you can actually get taken out by it. So, yeah, you got to be a little careful.
As Teto gets the bad news, he's gonna have to find an ether medallion somewhere. As we look to get his Misery Mire shed the checkerboard and into what is something we were fully expecting to have to do. So if you feel the pain of these runners and your commentators, hit that exclamation mark R or C to give all of us a follow, and thank Dark Diplomat for their wonderful tracking as well. This has been a something. It's been a happening.
It's not even over yet. Like, we still got a GT climb. We've still got all sorts of craziness that can happen from this seed. I mean, this thing has been mean. DIVISIGNS is making up a ton of time here with this Tempered Sword on this, and Teto is about to, unfortunately, waste a ton of time.
Yeah, this is an interesting play. You have Bombos for a pendant Misery Mire. You know you need that Ice Rod. Hoping to find Ether, I think, here. So...
I don't think he knows. Did he go to Misery Mire yet?
He went and checked checkerboard. He just got back.
I wouldn't be doing this right now. Then I would, like, he's got the advantage of knowing that it's a pedestal seed, and DIVISIGNS doesn't. But
at this point, DIVISIGNS not checking that pedestal being what? He finished Skullwoods at like an hour 25? You're going at that point, if it's pedestal, it's pedestal. I'm just gonna do as much as I can. No point in checking.
I mean, that's fair at this point, because I mean, at some point you're gonna end up maybe just blind pulling it, because you're gonna go, well, what else could it possibly be? I mean, both of these guys have pretty good routing there. It's starting to get to the end of the seed where you can see both of them are getting a little bit, I don't want to say shaky is the word, but they're getting a little bit more like, just what is going on here? Just the stress level of being in a league race and dealing with all of this stuff is going to start getting to them. Flustered is the good word. Yes, thank you. I feel for him. DIVISIGNS smartly knowing that Bombos Medallion kills everything, and just deciding that I don't want to deal with Mire 2. I'm just going to nuke the entire room from orbit, because it's the only way to be sure.
As we are getting our first checks through Misery Mire, as we see Teto go through the old-fashioned way of the Ice Palace bomb jump. Again, this does save you time in routing, but that Icebreaker's clip allowed DIVISIGNS to get every single item very quickly and head straight to the boss. So, gonna be sunk time for Teto.
Yeah, it's another one of these little areas there where it looked like for a minute there Teto had a lead, and he probably, I mean, with having the pedestal knowledge, it's kind of hard to say. Is DIVISIGNS, if he finds both items in the front here, is he going to finish this dungeon? If he finds, say he finds Ether in here, he could just basically say, okay, great, it's in Turtle Rock. I'm going to go there because it's always in pendant Turtle Rock and the seed's just being mean. He might not know just how mean the seed actually is.
As we have yet to find an item here in Misery Mire, going to go to the cutscene chest that normally houses our vanilla big key. As Teto heads over into this hookshot room, it has a whole bunch of baddie-doos or butterflies or I don't know, the things with huge mandibles.
Yeah, it has the Randomizer kind of oops enemies where I don't know how to draw this, so here's a whole bunch of junk. Trust me, it's a thing. And we find the big key in the back of Misery Mire back there. We're still looking. I think we're still looking for any sort of item here.
Yep. We have the big chest, and we have the small one to the left-hand side of that big chest, and possibly on whichever boss is here. We know it's not a Trinex. We know it's not a Vitreous. It could be Blind. It could be another Helmasaur. We still have yet to see Armos.
Ophula.
Yep. And we have yet to find ourselves a Lamolas too. What are we doing here? What?
DIVISIGNS is trying to do the other kind of application that has been recently found for the it's the same sort of thing as Icebreaker, where he can clip through that little rail there, and basically saves you from having to walk all the way around there.
Okay.
Yeah, it helps. It's not a huge time save. As far as time saves go, it's actually pretty far down there, as Teto is about to get the bad news that no, it's not just one Trinex today, it's two.
As fortunately for DIVISIGNS, there is going to be an item on the boss in the back of Misery Mire as we find the magical powder inside the big chest. Now we know that batter has nothing for us, thanks to Teto sequence breaking it with the fake powder. So all in all, the powder is just going to provide us with a little bit of extra safeties at this point.
So is this going to be Ether on whatever boss here? Because I'm trying to think of any place that we haven't checked yet where Ether could be.
We still have the back of Thieves Town.
Right.
Which houses at least one item.
And is that it? I feel like that might be it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We've done all of Dark Death Mountain. We've done all of Light. We've done all of the Smith checks. We've done Hyde Cave. We've done Pyramid Fairy. We've done Catfish. We've done all of Zora. That's where our hammer was at. We've done all of Escape. So yeah, we're kind of here going, okay, Ether's either on this boss or in... Well, you were speaking about rollers earlier. That was a terrible place for a roller.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one. There, I mean, it's not the full screen length one that you occasionally will see, but yeah, that's not a whole lot of fun here. As DIVISIGNS, yeah, DIVISIGNS moving back into the Armos Knights fight back here. Teto, on the other hand, using his hook shot to great advantage here to kill a lot of these other enemies really quickly, and then he's just going to put the Hinox in the corner there and spin him out, and yep, there he goes.
There's our Ether. So officially at 141.7, you, chat, and ourselves commentators are in no mode.
No mode, yeah. I was about to say, I'm like, wait, which call are you making here, bud?
We know where all the items are needed for completion of this dungeon. You know where it's at. Teto is going to know where it's at. DIVISIGNS does not.
DIVISIGNS
Fortunately,
doesn't have really anything else left to do. So, like, for him, he's gonna... I imagine he finishes off Turtle Rock here, because... what else would you do?
Yeah, and the real question is, do you pull Peg before you go into the back of Thieves Town?
Figure if you've got all three pendants, yeah, you're gonna pull Ped first. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, this is when we're gonna have to start talking about the sword advantage here. Tempered versus silver, not tempered versus master sword is a large advantage, especially when you're talking about the GT climb and the Ganon fight.
And not even that. With two Trinexes, that tempered sword is going to save you seconds per. And those add up in a race so linear, especially since Each of our players had to kill Aga. Each of our players are gonna have to clear every single dungeon. So those add up over a run to where it's possible whomever found the boots first is gonna win this race. Simply because you were able to have 2 minutes of sprinting with the boots, and there you go.
I mean, this is the thing here. DIVISIGNS has starting to get a bit of a lead on Teto, but it's Teto's advantage is knowledge base right now, because he's not going to get the tempered sword out of the purple chest. That's just not going to happen at this point. If he's in go mode, he's just going to say, okay, forget it. I'm good. I have what I need to beat Ganon. It's not a fun fight, but I have what I need, so let's go.
The best thing for Teto's path is going to be another sword upgrade.
Yeah, because if you're doing tempered versus butter sword, that's whatever. That's not something either of the runners are going to be too worried about, especially if it ends up tempered silvers or something like that. Then yeah, okay, that's pretty easy. As the enemies have just complete. Oh, there's butter sword. Okay, so that's gonna get rid of the advantage for DIVISIGNS there, at least the sword advantage. So that's not as big of a deal. Now, silvers are somewhere else, apparently. We're probably in GT at this point, or it's going to be on Laser Bridge, something like this. DIVISIGNS is going to basically clear every single chest out of here. Whereas Teto will be doing this in go mode. It's not going to be a big difference because it's Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock go mode is about the same no matter what. One thing we'll have to definitely keep in mind here is if we see what the key layout here is in Turtle Rock. One thing that could save DIVISIGNS a little bit is if this is one of those unfortunate cases where there's like no key on Laser Bridge, because what's going to happen here is Teto will be able to steal the key from that past room there, which is usually a pokey, but it looked like one of those little tentacle bags today. And Teto is making his way now back into the Armos Knights fight back here, and he'll be getting himself into, we'll just call it go mode, because he knows where the Ice Rod is. He just can't get it until he beats Turtle Rock.
We see an Armos fight here from Teto inside of Misery Mire, going to find that Medallion of Ether and head straight up to Turtle Rock.
And that is Teto's second pendant, but more importantly, that's his Ether Medallion, so he will know exactly where he needs to go now.
DIVISIGNS checking Mimic Cave here, being thorough, looking for that Ice Rod. Not gonna find it inside Mimic Cave. We know it's on that pedestal.
Yeah. Teto is in go-ish mode yet. I mean, since he knows that he's going to be go-moding the rest of the dungeons from here. So he's going to have to... This is going to come down to how quickly... what's going to be the time advantage difference here between DIVISIGNS and Teto at the end of this dungeon here. Because we're assuming DIVISIGNS takes this last pendant and goes, okay, I'm going to go pull Ped. There's a lot of other things that he can still do because there's some other random checks around for him. The assumption is he's going to pull Ped. He's probably going to pull Ped, but it's about a full dungeon behind here, and that's a nice roller right there. Don't go that way. Oh, well, you got red mail. I guess it's okay. You got red mail. He's fine.
Yeah, the key here is, does DIVISIGNS decide to finish out Thieves Town before hitting the pedestal? That is really the only location that we have not seen a full clear of. There is at least one item in the back of Thieves Town.
I'm actually kind of surprised that that anti-fairy on that tiny little bridge there didn't knock him off. As he's going to check all of these chests, it turns out that this is like one of the better layouts for Turtle Rock here, as he's already got the small key before Laser Bridge. So it looks like Teto is going to actually probably gain a little bit of time back here. He won't be doing Laser Bridge at all.
Unfortunately for Teto, we know there's no sword here on Laser Bridge. That is the one thing that is going to help Teto immensely if he's able to find a sword upgrade, or perhaps even Silver's, and DIVISIGNS does not. Oh no, we did find a sword upgrade somewhere here in Turtle Rock. While I was
right, it's in this
away.
very room that Teto's running into. He's about to get his tempered sword right now.
Now you're super happy if you're Teto. You're skipping everything now with that tempered sword.
And, oh, poor Mothula back here, and this is why his room is pretty much the only difficult thing about Mothula, because yeah, that's just 4 slashes with either the tempered sword or the butter sword, and that's all you need to do right there. All right, so now it's the moment of truth for DIVISIGNS here. What exactly is he going to do? Is he going to make his way immediately to that pedestal, or are we going to go see a couple of other things? And get the big key over on Teto's side, and he's making his way down. DIVISIGNS is running to the pedestal, it looks like.
Yep.
So
if you that's
going to put him into go mode.
Yeah, if you were to
it's the right play for sure.
Yep. Yeah, if you were to go do Thieves Town, you were going to lift up that big heavy block and go head into the Dark Village. But we're going to get our ped pull. We're going to get everything in our chat, and we're going to be entering go mode roughly at 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 37 seconds.
And what a seed this has been.
If I am DIVISIGNS, I'm going, okay, I think I routed this really super well. Am I winning? I don't know.
I mean, it's so hard to say right now. I'm actually really curious on DIVISIGNS' side if if he's pulling ped because he feels like that's what he needed to do, or if he was pulling ped because he was like, I've got nothing else. I hope I didn't just miss something.
Because the one routing thing that was different between the two runners is that Teto headed into Skullwood super early to get that fire rod. So DIVISIGNS may be feeling behind having to put that off for as long as he did.
That's hard to say at this point. I mean, exactly what these guys have been thinking at this point, because you don't usually go this long into a seed without seeing a dot done in this league or something like this. Like you're an hour 50 plus minutes in. Most of the time when you're an hour and 50 minutes in and you haven't finished, your opponent has finished, a good 20 minutes before you or something, as DIVISIGNS gets the icebreaker again without any problem. So that's one area that he'll save a bit more time on Teto, because it looked like when Teto came through the other time, he was using the bomb jump. So that's going to gain him quite a bit of time. Teto needs to be a little bit careful in here. Getting pretty low on health.
We'll find a heart a fill-up heart here and magic. We know it's a Mothman inside. Shouldn't be too bad with the temper sword. and half magic fire rod in case things do get out of hand.
1, 2, 3, 4 dead. All right.
You're gonna have to go get a small key in the room to the right there, Ditsteins. There we go. Yeah, unfortunately, if you don't find the big key in the chest leading up through Icebreaker, you can soft lock yourself in small or big keys, so...
Yeah, you'll have to usually just at that point you're mirroring out, and then that's that. So Teto is in go mode, Teto is almost in go mode. DIVISIGNS is almost done with Ice Palace here, showing just how quick you can go mode Ice Palace. And DIVISIGNS, I'd say, has probably got himself a good, maybe a good 3-minute lead at this point, something like that. This is still going to be anybody's race here. All it takes is some sort of GT shenanigans, and then we're going to be just fine.
As we get our first of 2 back-to-back Trinex fights, 2 racers enter, no Trinex stand. As we see DIVISIGNS setting up for the spin strat here on the turtle. As Teto picks up their ice rod at 1:54.13, he is officially in go mode. As we're gonna have both of our runners going through the Trinex fight in Swamp Palace, roughly the same amount of time, as DIVISIGNS deciding to do Ice Palace first. We get the victory fanfare. We get our 6th crystal of the seed. 1 more crystal to go.
So Teto's deciding to go to Swamp Palace first here instead of Ice Palace. I mean, it doesn't really matter because you're just going to be flying through both of these anyway. But looks like we'll get a bit of a high five action here as DIVISIGNS is right behind him. You can see the nerves starting to get to some of the runners there. The execution is a little bit shaky at this moment. You know, you're dealing with you know, you're 2+ hours in, and it's not like it's a 2+ hours plus stress at this point. So
absolutely.
I mean, you're going to be feeling that. So a thing like doing a hammer dash, which is just pressing 2 buttons at the same time, not as easy now.
So, fans, if you are interested in watching more Randomizer race action, at 9:40 Eastern Time tonight, we have a race between the Missing Links versus Team Kappa on Speed Gaming 5. That will more than likely start almost immediately after we finish with this seed here. We also have action coming up later this evening on the actual first front page Speed Gaming channel, 2 Pearl, 2 Furious versus the Wu-Tang Clan as well. We have matchups lined up for tomorrow, Thursday, as well throughout the whole day. We have Rando late at night at 10:25 Eastern Time, Thursday, WJPTBB versus Grouchy Old Men. And we start as early Thursday afternoon, 12:10 p.m. Eastern Time. We have the second of races between Upstuffle as Nish versus the Major Mistakes. So if you are enjoying both of these teams, they are running tomorrow afternoon / in the morning for most everyone. As we get ourselves our second Trinex fight, the first for Teto, of course.
I think DIVISIGNS is forgetting to jump in the water there on his diver downs.
Yeah.
So he's losing himself a little bit of time, unfortunately. And he's going ahead and moving in So he's gonna try it again. So he's third time's a charm here, and he's still kind of trying to figure out exactly what I'm doing.
He's not
here.
jumping into the water. Oh no! This seed has wreaked havoc on DIVISIGNS at the worst possible time.
Well, and one thing that people have been telling me, as he's getting it there. One thing that a couple of the runners are telling me, both of these runners are currently playing in Germany. So, and I guess at the moment it is 1:40 a.m. for them.
Yes, I do believe they are 7 or 8 hours from where I'm at. So yeah, it's definitely early in the morning for us.
Yeah, so I mean, at some point you're just going to be sitting there going, "Oh, my brain." My poor brain. I'm sorry I did this to you today.
As we get the second of Trinex fights from DIVISIGNS here, as soon as DIVISIGNS picks up his 7th and final crystal, we get to start a little bit of a game. If you would be so kind, DazeCloud, inform our chat as to what that game entails.
Okay, well, chat, and I'm going to tell you this, and I know you're not going to listen, but wait for the command. But as soon as we get the command in there, get your numbers in between 1 and 22 for where you think the big key is in Ganon's Tower. There are 22 chests in the basement. We've got to find the big key in there. So wait for the command, please.
It's
and as
almost
soon as we
there.
get that in there, we'll get going there. And there it goes. There's the command. Go ahead, get your guesses in there.
Do you have a guess for us, DazeCloud, as we're going to try and make a little bit of fun for us with this heckish type of seed?
Let's go for, you know what, I'm just gonna be not 100% cruel, but I'll be a little cruel. I'm gonna say 21 today.
I normally guess 14, and that's what I'm going to guess, but I am so rooting for chest number 19.
At the moment, I'm a chest number 2 guy, actually, if I'm being completely honest with you, but at the same time, these guys have really already been through enough. I'm very much just kind of like, you know what? Can we just finish this thing off here? I can just see it in the way that they're playing. Like this is like somebody who's been, you know, it's one of those old sword fights in the movies where both of them have been fighting for like 30 minutes and they're just like panting and barely can move at this point. It's what their sprites kind of look like to me right now. They're just like, oh, we're still going. I guess we got to keep doing this.
We have a projection of Dowerism on our sprites right now. That's how much this seed has scarred both myself and DazeCloud. I wonder how Dark Diplomat is doing. We cut over to Dark Diplomat. He's pulling out his hair. Why?
I mean, for me, honestly, I'm doing just fine here. I'm the one who gets to watch and just kind of laugh at them. I'm not the one playing right now. We'll have to see what these guys do here. Yeah, we still don't have silver arrows. DIVISIGNS is going to have a lead in here, but we're still within the realm of GT big key routing. We're still within the realm of, you know, wall masters. Bad things happen in Randomizer, and the tower is often pretty easy, but every once in a while, it's not your friend.
As we prepare to close our big key guessing game, as soon as we step inside, we're going to close that off. We have 30 points available to everyone in chat who guessed. Hopefully you are today's lucky winner.
And we're going to start with chest number 1 and chest number 2 here, as Teto is about to jump into his Trinex fight there.
As we find the first 2 items in GT being actual items, no small key, we need to go full left. There are those silvers.
No one's going to be missing that today. That is a nice and easy silver location. So, yep, that both runners are not going to should not have any problem with the Ganon fight. I say that knowing that it is over 2 hours at this point, and nice quick kill on Teto's side, as we're going to make our way into the Stalfos room back here, which is devoid of Stalfos today.
Chest number 4, 5, 6 and number 7 provide us with no big key. With those keys in hand, DIVISIGNS going to head right here. Interesting play. This may be where Teto can make up some time if that big key is in Randomizer room.
This is the fabled right left right route. This is, I think on average, this is the slowest of the possible plays you can make. But if you get this right, you're gonna, it's not gonna matter here. You're trying to read GT key logic is a fool's game, quite honestly. We'll have to see if he ends up finding it back here, then he's a genius. But if not, then oh boy.
I like going right, left, right if I'm heading straight over to the Ice Armos room to loop that in as well and just saying, oh, there it is. That was check number after 7, 8, 9, 10, I do believe. If I'm counting that correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, 10 was our winner today.
Yep, that was key number 10 there. I think we might need to get Dark Diplomat to throw in the command there, since he was the one who started it there. And yep, there it is. And the winner again is Ravis10, who seems to always win this with a guess of 10, especially if I'm commentating. Dang it, Ray.
No, that was not 11. We had the 2 on the right-hand side, 3 with silvers, 4 in total over in the Dark Magicians. That's 7. He checked the first 2 in the front, and then checked that bottom left one, which is where the key was at. That was number 10.
Now,
we did not check Tile Room, so...
Here's the big question, though. Is Teto going to do the right, left, right route as well? I think there's a very good chance that he goes right and then he goes full left from there, because that's the much more common route to take here. And if he does that, then at this point, you're going to give DIVISIGNS a massive advantage, as he picks up his silvers at least. Oh boy, I'm nervous for Teto here, because like that GT, you hate to basically, because he's right now he's still within the realm of being able to pull a comeback here. But if he doesn't go right after this room, if he doesn't mirror out after this room, we're gonna have some trouble. And it doesn't look like he is. He's killing the enemies.
Yeah, going left makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. And this is now DIVISIGNS' race to lose.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, this is the play I would make. Through
his gauntlet. Having a little bit of trouble in taking out the enemies here in Wizrobes 1. For as much as these players play Randomizer and the vanilla game, and that enemy was just not wanting to spawn in the proper place for it to stay up for a frame to be eliminated.
Yeah, he finally got it down there, but he's making it through pretty easily, all in all here. The gold sword is definitely helping. Yeah, those invisible floors are no joke. One kind of fun thing we get to see on Teto's side is we get to see who is hiding in the ice floor yet, because we haven't seen our second duplicate. Well, no, I guess we just did see our second duplicate. It was Armos Knights. So who is hiding down in the ice room here? We're gonna get to see that.
Ranmos have to be in that ice room because it cannot be in the Moldorm 2 arena.
Right, so we're going to have a standard Moldorm 2. Now, here's the fun question of Randomizer. Randomizer randomizes the eyes on Moldorm. How many eyes do we have on our Moldorm today?
I'll go with 5, like a grasshopper.
I'm gonna say we're gonna see the rare full 8 Moldorm, just because it is absolutely frightening to behold.
Bring out your fingers and toes. We've got ourselves the full gambit.
Oh man, I'm having a day guessing things.
You cannot look away from the many-dyed storm.
Oh, Teto is just gonna have a whole lot of fun in here. DIVISIGNS gets through the last really difficult room there. Luckily, didn't get wall mastered or anything like that. So he's gonna get to his Aga fight really quickly here. And then from this point on, it's just basically the Randomizer has relented, and it is standard time.
Good double in the first cycle of Aga 2. Unfortunately, getting blue-balled and having bad luck with bounces. A single cycle here. But should be a nice setup for... No, another single cycle. This is time that Teto can get advantage on and make up, as we see an Aga defeat here at the top of Ganon's tower. We have one more thing we need to do, and that is making some bacon.
And we're off on our way over there as we speak right now. That was the, trust me, that was the Ganon bat flying there, not just a whole bunch of garbage flying through the air. But as DIVISIGNS drops in and we're getting the midnight snacks thing there, it is a great question from Ganon. Why is that the case?
As with that butter sword in hand, 4 slashes in phase 1, 4 slashes in phase 2, 4 slashes in phase 3. We've got those silvers, 4 more slashes at most if we're able to get multiple shots on the pig. Can't take a death here though. That would be what we'd like to call in the business a bad idea.
Yeah, and he got through those first 2 6-slash phases really quickly and easy. The butter sword just makes it a complete joke. And Ganon's throwing his tantrum and knocking down some spare tiles that apparently he doesn't need. And then we're going to move on to the pump him full of the 4 silver arrows to win the game match.
That's just poor grouting on those tiles, man. Need to get desperate in there to fix it.
I mean, you can't exactly expect a Moblin to do something like that.
As we see the ignoring of torch glitch, it makes perfect sense here. No need to risk it as we get that pig kill from what is a horrendous seed. DIVISIGNS is taking the 3 points for Ups das Feuers auch nicht in the first matchup of these two teams.
And he finishes in first place with an SRL time of 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 53 seconds. So get your GGs into chat there for DIVISIGNS, as Teto is going to go ahead and he's going to finish up the rest of the tower here.
Yeah, not much left for Teto. Really, honestly, the difference in this seed may have been that icebreaker clip twice for DIVISIGNS. That is a huge time save, as both runners had to double dip into Swamp Palace to find the Titan's Mitts. DIVISIGNS' last locationing essentially his fire rod, but that advantage with sword and clipping through that wall was the difference.
Definitely, it was one time where some of the new tricks really did actually help quite a bit for DIVISIGNS there. The other part that really helped him was, I kind of think that when he picking up those mitts a little bit earlier than Teto there, ended up kind of helping him out, because it meant that he got to see the medallion requirements for, say, Misery Mire and Turtle Rock before Teto did, which was a little bit of information that allowed him to, not go into I mean, Teto ended up going into Misery Mire before that, after he went into Ice Palace, and that ended up costing him probably about as much time as you're seeing the difference here. Looks like we've got looks like DIVISIGNS is sitting here in the waiting room. We'll try to pull him up, and here he is. DIVISIGNS there. As soon as your mic's up there, GG's, bud. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so happy it's over.
So, yeah, this seed, definitely the, for lack of a better term, the personification of your guys' team names as, oops, it wasn't there either.
Exactly. That was our seed. Absolutely. I don't even know where I should start. Like, seriously. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong.
I got one question for you with the ped there. Were you pulling that because you're like, I think it's here, or were you pulling that because, oh God, I think I've made mistakes? Like, what was your mindset when you were pulling it?
Well, there was the daily, I believe, like only a few hours ago, where the ice rod was on the pedestal, and what I've noticed with the randomizer is that often enough
it likes to stack things on a certain day.
Exactly, it doesn't randomize. So at some point I figured it would be a very good idea to just pull ped.
Yeah, Teto picked up that information when they went into Skullwoods, finding that fire rod. You almost basically last location that fire rod in the first check of Skullwoods. At what point in the seed were you thinking you were super behind?
Like the moment I found the Titans in a swamp, which I did 3 times or so. Also the fire rod, apparently. Obviously, also.
Yeah, both you and Teto ended up going into Swamp Palace twice, and we were going, well, I mean, it makes sense, but, you know, there's 2 items over there, potentially, so, you know...
Well, it's random. The one time I don't skip it, there's nothing, and once I skip it, there's always something. Usually, for a fun fact, I don't skip Skullwoods. This time I did, so it backfired, like always.
Well, luckily for you, you decided to go do your pod and Eastern loop together before Teto did, so you got a quick advantage on getting your first pendant and crystal count up there. What made you go, okay, I'm gonna go do this first before I hit Skullwoods and Swamp Palace?
Probably item density, also knowing that, yeah, I could do Eastern afterwards if I did pot. It is the green pendant also, and I always had in mind that the Fat Fairy could have something.
And throughout this whole seed, both myself and Days Cloud were going, you know, these runners actually are not doing anything wrong, it's just... this seed is terrible.
Anytime you end up with an ice rod ped seed, you're not going to finish that one fast.
And
with 2 Trinex.
Yeah, we freaked out when we saw that second Trinex in Ice Palace. We're like, okay.
This seed hates you, and it just wants you to spend a whole lot of time getting angry.
Yes.
You did really well with it there.
Teto finish up their Ganon fight here. Able to get a double on the second teleport. Going to put another arrow into Ganon as we watch the victory celebration for Teto and the major mistakes. Again, playing excellently. Just, this seed was out to get us. As we see Teto finish up, I'm sure he's going to be joining us in a moment, and if you are watching us on the restream on the German side, both of our players will be giving an interview in German as well. If I was to bust out my lexicon of German, I might be able to ask a few questions, but it's been a few years, so.
Guten Tag.
Wie geht's?
GG.
Great. And now I'm feeling better with this German greetings here. Yeah, all this salty seed. It's now.
Yeah, when the DIVISIGNS joined us in chat, I said this seed was the personification of your guys' team names. It said, no, this item is not what you're looking for. It's not what you want.
And GG's DIVISIGNS. Yeah.
GG's.
And it was the opposite of your team name, Teto. Major mistakes. You guys really didn't make any major mistakes. This seed was just a jerk.
I mean, the major mistake the seed was guaranteed this. I had the full clear Ice Palace before the Maya clearance, and I should have done Maya because I knew against the odds that Twinex is doubled and in Ice Palace isn't clearable. I should have played Maya and full cleared this instead, and I could have saved at least 5, 6 or more minutes.
As we get a look at the ending credits here for both of you guys, just one item difference in collection between the two of you. And the real difference in time, I do believe, was DIVISIGNS going for icebreakers twice. That was a major time saving for DIVISIGNS. I think it ended up saving him about 4 minutes from the Ice Palace bomb jump. With the new glitches available to everyone racing, how do you think that's going to change Ice Palace routing going forward?
To be honest, I'm not sure how much time it really saves. It depends on the key layout, and yeah, in this seed it might have saved a few minutes, of course. But yeah, it's a must-learn trick, I think. So next time I will looking for this.
And also we saw DIVISIGNS doing the diver down as well with that Cane of Samaria. Unfortunately, Swamp Palace was a full clear anyway with that Titan's Mints in the big chest. Both runners ending up double and triple dipping it to get that progression and kill Trinex. How long do you think it's going to be until you find another seed like this for you guys?
I mean, the only greater seed would have been some progression, any progression at least. Well, best case Ether in back of Thieves Town. This could have been better than this.
Yeah.
It's the only location I'm still missing in my mind, so yeah.
When DIVISIGNS got his last pendant, we were debating, okay, does he dip Thieves Town hoping to find Ice Rod there, or does he go right to Pad? And it sounds like you forgot about the back of Thieves Town. DIVISIGNS.
No, I did not forget.
Okay.
I didn't want to do it. I
Uh,
would have done it afterwards.
That's a perfectly acceptable answer.
And you didn't even check the patterns, do you? Oh god.
No, he did not.
After the first try, before Swamp Palace, you thought about, oh, you might don't need the bow and not even Ice Ward if everything just plays fine, and no, it didn't. It was worst.
So where you, Teto, you entered into Skullwoods approximately like 50 minutes in, somewhere around there. DIVISIGNS didn't enter Skullwoods officially until like 1:17. And at that point, if I am running and I'm entering Skullwoods at 1:17 and I still haven't found the Ice Rod, I'm thinking I'm clearing all these pendants too. I don't need to check that pedestal.
yeah, that's the reason I understand it. Yeah.
Teto, that when you were about to check that pedestal, I had just said, oh, this is probably not necessary because there's only one thing that can be on the pedestal, and then sure enough, you open that book and it's just like, oh, great, guess what we're doing today? And then the fun really began for you guys.
In the German tournament, we could choose our seed against our opponents in our best of 3 once, and I always decided for all dungeons Randomizer because of all this randomness inside, and this was just another all dungeons Randomizer anyway. So yeah, nothing new, just on the pedestal.
So do remember, race fans, we do have a matchup coming up starting in about 30 minutes over on Speed Gaming between 2 Pearl, 2 Furious versus the Yu-Tang Clan. If you need more randomizer racing this evening, we have a whole slate of action coming up for you tomorrow. A rematch between these two teams starting at 12:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Speed Gaming 3, I do believe. If you did enjoy watching these two excellent teams and these two excellent runners go head to head. Well, we do appreciate you joining us for the interview. We know we're going to hop you over to the German side for a quick interview. So GG's to both you, Teto and DIVISIGNS, on the race this evening.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the commentary and Dick promoted for the tracking. And yeah, see you guys next time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And for myself and Dark Diplomat, our tracker, and Days Cloud, we want to thank you for joining us for this excellent race in the Link to the Past Randomizer Team League, Season number 2, Week 3 Randomizer Seed. You guys all have yourself a wonderful evening.